Well, there is a very interesting chain of events that happened, which is actually not too uncommon whenever a PBE patch drops. But it turns out that this time, Riot forgot about a skin. Now that on its own would already be an interesting situation. However, this was a skin for a very specific group of mains, with the reaction being hilarious. So let's dive into what happened. The truth is that today we actually have a bunch of news that came from all over the place. From the Modern League to the Riot merch store revealing interesting things, to Riot downgrading themselves in general, to Classic dealing with a new wave of players who just wanted to try it out. And speaking of Classic, we live in an era where progression is pushing us forward. But even during these dire times, we always come back to the classics. So why don't you sharpen your classic skills with the help of today's sponsor? This video is sponsored by boot.dev. Have you ever wanted to learn how to code and ride the wave into the modern times, but you deemed that task too difficult? Well, boot.dev makes it easy by turning that task into fun. No sitting in lectures and no following tutorials. Here you learn how to use the classic languages such as Python, C or Go by delving into dungeons, completing quests, collecting loot and leveling your account. Just like in a good old RPG, not to mention the occasional bosses. And that is all driven with an experience that is tailored to your skill. Meaning no matter if you are a complete beginner or if you want to get into the advanced techniques, boot.dev has the appropriate adventure for all heroes. And yes, the great wizard bear is still here to make up new tasks for you as well as help you sharpen your skills. Of course, all of these adventures will lead you into backend development, which is still among the highest paying jobs in the industry, and you can give it all a shot with the free demo, which is backed up by their no questions asked refund policy, meaning there is nothing to lose. So go to boot.dev and use my promo code Necrit to get 25% off of your first year, become a coding master of your own, and with that, many thanks to boot.dev for sponsoring this video, and now back into the classic times. So as we previously mentioned, as League Classic launched, the team revealed a pretty solid path forward. And right now, I just became a Classic main. Look, I actually enjoy Classic way more than Modern. And I'm trying to stream it as much as possible. Meaning that a couple of hours after this goes live, I will be live once again. And there is a very good reason to do it. You see, yesterday Riot launched a week-long event on Twitch to support all the League streamers. And so if you watch a League stream for 2 hours, you get the Nidalee Smite emote. But more importantly, if you gift a sub to a channel that is part of the Riot Partner Program, which our channel is, you actually get the classic version of the pre-Void Kassadin. Which is hilarious to see because Kassadin is still the most banned champion in Classic. But it's only a matter of time before Mordekaiser and Irelia come in. However, yesterday, after people essentially bought the skin for $5 with the gifted sub, people noticed they didn't actually get anything. I tried it out too, I also gifted a sub to myself, and yeah, nothing happened. So is it a scam? Well, everything shows that things should actually work. And it seems like the distribution is just slower. In the past, whenever these events happened, it can take up to a couple of days to actually get what you got through the Twitch integration. But yes, I can show you that on the back end, everything is tied to Riot and it all should work. So it is just a matter of time, and the classic Kassadin skin is coming. However, what might also be connected to this is that on Classic launch, the EU West servers were slightly on fire, but within about 30 minutes, Riot got it all working again, so no flashbacks into the past. Now next, still staying on the Classic front, we can also mention that yes, the official Riot website downgraded itself to look more retro, but also if you are a die-hard fan of Classic, you might want to pay attention to the merch store. You see, right now the merch store doesn't show anything. But the Chinese version of the merch store was already updated with new items related to Classic. Specifically, there is a new hoodie with the Classic art from Season 2, and there is a new shirt with all the portraits of all the Classic champions before the VGUs. On top of which, there is also a new Amumu plushie. But then, on the Korean store, we got 2 more items. There is a new statue for Twitch. That's the modern Twitch. Yuck. And there's also the Heart of Gold ring. And because some creators outside of the East already got some of these pieces, it is safe to assume that eventually these will appear in the West too. And lastly, when it comes to Classic, yes, while Classic League was celebrating the release with an awesome cinematic that was absolutely full of Easter eggs everywhere, other devs of other Classic projects, such as the old school RuneScape, released their own video congratulating League of Legends on releasing their own Classic version of the game. And I'll be honest, this one is just sweet. And so let's just hope that this game mode continues to go strong. But this then takes us into whatever the heck happened in Modern League. With the biggest update being that the Legends of Runeterra button is gone, and it was replaced with Classic. Anyway, with the new PBE already deployed, which already teased new Classic champions who are coming, it also gave us 3 new Fairy Court skins, all of which look absolutely awesome. And so here we are talking about the Fairy Court Gwen, Lulu, and Belveth, which I believe should have actually been the horror style, the flowery theme. But alas, they are awesome. And so what is the chaos all about? Well, you see, almost a year ago, when Riot started previewing the Season 1 of 2026, which is where they also teased the new take on the Vandal skin line, during some of the shots that showed us Senna, they also showed us the Photoshop tabs. And among all of those, there was Fairy Court Zyra, which, makes this awkward? Now, of course, during those times, there were leakers who weren't as banned as they are now, and all the leaks pointed at the fact that Zyra would be getting Prestige Fairy Court skin. Because yes, truth be told, it was kinda a safe bet after Riot accidentally showed it. But here we are! With no such skin to be shown. And since Zyra specifically is part of the classic Zyra Syndra Nami triangle of the Queens of League, the reaction from the mains was hilarious. Zyra mains outside of the Riot headquarters demanding to know what happened about their Fairy Court skin when they teased it in the 2026 dev vlog. The Fairy Court Zyra Prestige leaks were fake. It ended up being epic Lulu, Gwen and Belveth skins. I'm going feral. Where is her legendary skin? Once again, she lost. Fairy Court Zyra will be coming soon. Project Sivir and Quinn released 2 patches apart. At least the copium is there. But yes, it seems like the Zyra skin is simply missing. And there are 2 reasons why that might have happened. Either the skin will come later, because remember, the seasons are split into multiple acts with multiple parts, and right now it is all mostly focusing on classics, so anything can happen. But on the other side, remember that the other half of Season 3 will likely be focusing on KDA or whatever might be happening around music. And I'm not sure if Fairy Court can fit into that. I am ready for a surprise though. But the other reason why this might have happened is simply because the skin was cancelled. Remember that in the same dev drop that was teasing stuff for the Demacian season, which is now long gone, there was also the Winged Protector Kale. And so the chances are that skin is also gone, which means I wouldn't really get my hopes up for this skin anymore. And so, to say our final goodbyes, we can have a look at the other Fairy Court skins that made it into the game. Starting with Gwen. So this skin will be popular, simply because it is Gwen, and it is a popular skin line. And from the reaction, yes, people actually really like this one. For me personally, I got kinda blown away by the simple auto attacks. I really like the VFX that appear on the target. It all feels a lot more magical. But outside of that, the Q became a little bit more fairy-like, with the butterflies flying from the cuts. The W creates an amazing oasis of butterflies. The dash is a dash with magical butterflies, and the ultimate made the needles look a lot bigger, which could be because they appear to be ever so slightly off-center. But yes, overall, this definitely seems to be a big W for Gwen. And the chromas came out stellar. Next up, then there is also Lulu. Now, this one is actually the weakest skin of the three, but not because it is bad, it is because the other skins are quite good. And so immediately I have to say this is an awesome design for Lulu, where the antenna thingies replace her hat. This already makes her look more like an insect, but I love how the wings actually replace the flowing hair. Someone had a lot of fun with this one. And so the auto attacks and the Qs turned out to be more fairy magic-ish. The W is really cool because it polymorphs the enemy into a caterpillar, her E pops up a great looking shield, and her ultimate surrounds the target with more fairy magic. So again, this is a pretty good skin with really cool chromas, which is where you might be able to notice a really cool detail. Among all the chroma skins of all of these skins, you will always find a version that matches the base color scheme of the other skins. Meaning that technically you can play as all three of these skins and always use the same colors. That is clever. And so lastly, there is also Belveth, which might actually be my favorite of these. Though that might also be because the splash art is godly. Now, since Belveth is mostly about auto attacks, you can see that every auto attack summons a streak of leaves and butterflies. Then her dashes look great with the new orange color scheme. The knock-up actually summons an orange rift underneath her. And her jabs are orange now, which is exactly what you would expect. And lastly, her ultimate summons a flower, which she of course absorbs. And in her ultimate form, she looks amazing. She looks far more like some kind of a horror design. But again, it might be partially carried by the amazing color scheme. With that said, once again, the chromas look great. And that is pretty much it for the news. So this time around, we got a bunch of really cool classic events happening, with people getting horrified after paying $5 and not getting the skin yet. We did get a lot of cool references to the past during the celebrations. Riot did actually remove the home guard from Classic, and Riot actually made the Zyra mains Riot. Though to be fair, in their case, they absolutely have the right to do so.